Live?
Yes, we are.
Hello, Facebook world. We're coming to you a few minutes late, but parking and everything was just havoc today. We got Darren in the house.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
Yeah, we got a great show for you today. We got Amy. She's holding the camera for a couple of seconds. I'm just getting ready for playing a PSA. There's something called the Lifestyle Show.
What's a PSA?
Public service announcements. Yeah.
Learning the radio jargon today.
Local businesses supporting community needs.
And good afternoon, Vancouver. This is Giuseppe Ganci and my co-host, well, not my co-host, our co-host, Darren Gaylor.
It's the other main
Can you
host.
be mine?
I'm the other main host.
You're the other main host. I'm sorry. Me. Talk Recovery Radio. We're coming to you live from the downtown east side of Vancouver at the corner of Columbia and Hastings. And we come to you live every Thursday, noon till 1 p.m. If you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Talk Recovery Vancouver. And we like to start the show off with a couple of conversations going on in BC. And there's quite a few conversations going on, Darren. There is April 16th, I believe, is going to be International Overdose Awareness Day. Boy, I hope I got that date right. And there's going to be events going on throughout the city. They're planning on a parade on Hastings Street. So I'm going to come down to it. Yeah, want to check it out. I'm pretty sure it's April 16th. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But it's April 16th. We'll post it up on our Facebook. And there's a reason why I want to be at it, because this event is really about the slogan is humans have a right to a safe supply. And so the whole thing is about safe supply, legalization of all drugs, and so forth. And to be honest with you, I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. You believe it, you don't believe it, you're into it, you're not into it, The only reason I want to go is I think it's time that the abstinence recovery community and the harm reduction community start walking down the same street. Because I don't think we're ever going to find any solutions to all these deaths if we're not all talking the same page. At least hanging out in the same room. I mean, I've gone to stakeholder meetings where we're kind of sitting at different tables, but there's no unity. And I think we need to start showing up for each other. So I'm going to be there. It's April 16th. You know, I've made a couple of parade floats in the past. I don't know if I'm going to do one for this one, if people know what I'm talking about. I'm just going all casual. So check that out, April 16th. Let's figure out what this International Overdose Awareness Day is all about. We come to you weekly. We bring addiction recovery issues. It's been 5 years that we've been on air, and this week we've got two great guests. Amy is going to be talking about her personal story at the second half of the show around 12:30, and in the beginning we've got Bobby on the show, and Bobby is here. Hello, Bobby.
How are you?
Bobby, what are you doing here?
Just here, wanted to share my story about just freedom from my past, and I'm a representative of Hope for Freedom Society. It's a 12-step Narcotics Anonymous based Christian nonprofit recovery house in the Tri-Cities area, Port Coquitlam, Maple Ridge, and Mission.
Okay.
We've got a woman's house that has 14 beds in it with 3 methadone tapering beds. We've got a men's house with Suboxone tapering and regular treatment in Maple Ridge with 35 beds. We have another a group of houses in Port Coquitlam that offer second stage, third stage. We also have 17 beds for methadone tapering for men in Port Coquitlam.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that is pretty impressive. So let's break that all down and let's figure out. So we brought you on the show because I hear you're doing some events. You're raising awareness and you're having free haircuts and so forth. So let's start with that part. So what's going on there?
So I'm also a barber at Ramey's Cut in Port Coquitlam. I've been a professional barber for 9 years. You know, it's just one of the fruits that God has blessed me with, and it's just on my heart to be able to just give back to people and just look at them through the eyes of Jesus and just love on them and be able to share my testimony with them, and being a staff member of Hope for Freedom Society and clearly have gone through that system and successfully graduated everything that they have to offer. I've been able to be successful in my life and not have the bondage of my past hold me captive to my future, and it's been a celebratory event, and so I just want to share that with people, let them know that they're worth it, let them know that I love them, let them know that there's a solution, invite them into where we have the event. It's on 222nd in Lougheed at Maple Ridge Baptist Church in Maple Ridge. So I can't share the date yet because we're just waiting for confirmation today. However,
today? Okay, so we'll post it on. But you had one already.
We've already had one. We just had one 2 weeks ago. It was a fantastic
So
event.
why? Like, you've got your weekend job, you got a life, like, why are you... I'm sure it's not your 9-to-5 job, so
No.
What's the point?
Definitely. Well, they say that you only keep what you have by giving it away. So I'm prepared to keep what I have. So it's on my heart to be able to give it away. Like I said, I've been blessed so freely with, you know, the fruits from God, and I just have so much to offer, and it's just on my heart to be able to love people, because I know that without the people that were loving me, I wouldn't be in the position I am today. So this is what we do. We pay it forward.
So you said God and Jesus and all that, Narcotics Anonymous. So were you Christian before you went into rehab?
No, I absolutely came to Hope for Freedom Society an atheist.
An atheist, okay. And did you show up all happy, ready for rehab, or were you...
No, I definitely showed up miserable, angry. My father, I grew up in Cranbrook. My father drove me out to Vancouver area. It was Port Coquitlam. You know, it was pretty big for me at that time, and he kind of just dropped me off and said, hey, like, we can't do this anymore. Like, you got to figure this out on your own.
Oh, how old were you?
I think I was about 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It hasn't
just left you in Port. Well, jeez, leave me in North Vancouver at least, or Yale Town. Leaving me out there for, jeez, or the West End, depending on what you're into.
Yeah.
But okay, so you weren't Christian. You weren't. So there's this whole conversation out there about 12-step programs, rehab, religion. I mean, there's a lot of crazy noise out there, and I'm not a religious person. I went to church every Sunday, and I don't anymore. I'm into 12-step fellowship. I got my own theory of higher power and all that kind of stuff that probably wouldn't work in some circles, but I'm happy. So there's a lot of people that think that people should not be funded, or there should be no access to treatment that involves the 12 steps, or definitely involves any type of Jesus. So how did you
100%.
get through that? And what do you think about that?
Well, it breaks my heart, first of all. It completely breaks my heart. You know, I know that there's been a lot of people that call themselves Christians, and they've been applying their value systems into other people's lives, and I don't really agree with that. I believe that they should be spoken to from the truth. The book is the same, and that they should always be pointed at the truth. I mean, it's important for me to share my story, because my story is my story, but the incredible part of being in a program is that you're going to have your own story. And I think that's really encouraging, that people should allow them to know, like, listen, this is what I did, and I'm going to point you to where I got it. But I would like you to, you know, challenge yourself to walk through this book and study it. It's a textbook, and find...
Which textbook?
Well,
the Bible?
Yeah, the Bible.
Okay.
The Bible's meant to be studied, not to be read.
So here's a question then. Did you feel all the time that you had a choice to stay or leave, and if you wanted to leave, you'd still be supported? Because I think that's where people get stuck. They're like, people are being forced into this. Were you forced?
Nothing, absolutely nothing was
Is
forced.
anybody forced?
Nobody's forced.
If somebody wants to leave?
If somebody wants to leave, they more than have access to the front door.
My idea, like, if I was able to fix everything, it's like here's a menu, You've got your yoga, you've got your Jesus, you've got your atheist, you've got your CBT, you've got your smart, you've got your life ring, you've got your therapeutic community, you've got your methadone, you got your Suboxone, you got your low barrier. You know, we got our lunch special over here if you want, just really low barrier, and like you pick and choose and just bounce around if you want. And like that's my hopes and dreams. And so what, like, you know, the old Giuseppe would have been like, oh my God, there's Jesus here, get me out of here, you know. But now it's a thing of there's so many different opportunities in life. Like who's to who to say which one works and which one doesn't. I mean, I don't get the sense that you're telling people if you don't have Jesus, you ain't gonna get clean.
No, absolutely not what I'm saying.
So that's good. So where we're at now is everyone focuses on the downtown east side. Addiction, downtown east side. Addiction, downtown east side. There's a problem out where you're at.
For sure, there's a problem.
What's it like?
There's a huge problem in Maple Ridge. I mean, some of the areas in Maple Ridge look just like the front door down here on the east side. It's horrific. I mean, and I don't believe that housing addicts is you know, the right choice. I believe that there's long-term treatment. There's mental health, unfortunately, that needs to be addressed. And they need a safe place to be able to endure what love is.
A friend of mine posted on Facebook the other day, and he posted, it's a really sad state of affairs when the only thing we're going to do is house addicts and give them free medication, heroin,
100%.
because it saves the economy money. Let that sink in.
I agree with
And Dr. Summers, who's a researcher from Simon Fraser University, I actually had a chat with him a couple days ago. He's got research that shows Housing First really doesn't benefit people with co-occurring issues that includes addiction because they're just too fucked up. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have sworn. Because they're just too messed up, and all it does is it helps them with a house, but it actually increases their crime and so forth. And it's out there, I'm not making this up, SFU did the research. Because Housing First needs to be followed up with addiction treatment and therapeutic involvement in the individual's life. And so that's what you're saying.
Yes, I'm most definitely saying that for sure. I mean, and if you think that the methadone is keeping these guys clean, it's not. You know, they still have too much time on their hands and too much access to.
Well, I remember having a house, and I remember smoking crack. My house was one scary place. Like it wasn't. There was, and that's what I don't think people that create these policies don't understand. I had a house. Like I never didn't have a house, and when I would get high, like there'd be Kleenex in the peepholes, and it was insanity, right? I mean, the house didn't fix anything for me. It just kept me using longer, and it was a horrible nightmare. So, Hope for Freedom Society, you say some words that really don't fit with the narrative in British Columbia. You have Dr. Sutherland, whose office is right around the corner here. She says every opiate addict needs to be on medication, prescription heroin, Suboxone, or methadone for the rest of their life.
I don't agree with that at all. We have a methadone tapering system that's actually right now very successful.
Were you an opiate addict?
I have been opiate addict in my past. It's not my drug.
So you're going to die if you don't go back on Suboxone or methadone?
Absolutely not.
Well, that's what she says.
I live a great life. And
you sure?
I believe that.
You're going to die right now.
No. Well, I hope I'm not going to die.
I'm not making light of it, but I just can't. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about. But that's what she says. You need to be on medication for the rest of your life.
No, we have a methadone tapering system.
How does that make you feel when somebody says that?
It makes me feel hurt. It makes me feel sad. Yeah. It makes me feel like someone's trying to kick something under the rug that they don't want to do.
So what makes you different than the person that's outside on the side? I mean, there's people smoking heroin right out front of our door.
Yeah.
What makes you different from them?
What makes me different is that I've been able to be in a safe place long enough to be able to have people love on me and encourage me to feel the amount of love that they had was worth looking into until I found some value in myself and started, working on my own self and finding value in myself enough to apply what they taught me in my life until it worked. And they told me that it was going to get better. You know what it did?
How long were you there for?
This isn't my first time at Hope for Freedom Society. Probably in my life, I've spent over 7 years at the Hope for Freedom Society.
So you're coming in and out 7 years, but the message always was helping you to get to where you're.
They brought me back when no one else did. I've as a staff member, I have I worked as a staff member at Hope for Freedom Society from 2008 to 2013. So I have a lot of experience. I worked in the office, and right now I'm a group facilitator. I'm a mentor. I disciple men. I do intakes. I mean, we all wear plenty of hats.
Yeah. So what are some of the challenges today?
For For me, you know what? Well, I suffer from depression. I have social anxiety disorder. I have PTSD. I have ADHD. You know, sleeping at night's very difficult for me. Generally, you know what? Like a sick day would be the worst day of my life. And I live a fantastic life. You know, I'm this excited every day. And the people that know me, they will contest. They will let you know that Bob's on fire.
Yeah. So you've been around for a while, and I've noticed a change. I mean, addiction hasn't changed. You know, addiction's the same, but people that are coming into the world of recovery, I find, you know, they know all of their diagnoses. They know more about medicine than the doctor. There's this real belief that recovery doesn't work, you know, because that's the narrative online, and pop science becomes reality for so many people, because it's what you see every day when you're sliding down. Have you noticed a difference? Do you find?
I believe that a 90-day program is just a Band-Aid. I believe that for me to, you know, I mean, I've got 18 years of addiction behind me, so I believe that to go up and do a 90-day program and try and leave as a, you know, that's visiting a recovered world and trying to leave into my regular world. I believe that doesn't work. It didn't work for me. One of the cool things about Hope for Freedom Society is we ask guys to come into 90 days, but during that 90 days, we're going to talk to them and allow them to know that we don't feel like 90 days works. Yeah. It's an open-ended program. We've got second stage housing. Guys can stay there for years. They can reintegrate into the community. We've got such an amazing program. This isn't the only recovery house that I've been to. I've been to plenty of recovery houses before, and I stand behind this one. I show up to this one willingly each day to work because it's nothing but exciting. The men that are there are awesome. We've got men there that are angry at God. You know, when I showed up, I thought I was why am I asking God to forgive me? I figured that God should be asking me or trying to get forgiveness. You know, from
He owes me an apology.
Exactly, he owes me an apology. Why would I be asking?
I got one actually. Right?
So it's incredible. You know, like I said, nothing's rammed down anyone's throats. There's tons of experience there. The guys that are there, they just love being there, and they're just amazing. And I just love showing up each day. I wake up. You know, they say if you have a job that you love, you never work in a day in your life. You know, I'm a barber on weekends, and I'm a staff member at Hope for Freedom Society. Yeah. I got 2 jobs that I love. I'm like loving life.
Yeah, it's pretty, and it's not that. And there's tons of people that have great jobs, but it's that purpose that you get before and after work, and it's one of those opportunities where, you know, what's your legacy going to be? Is your legacy going to be the sob story that got left in Port Coquitlam? Well, it's sad, but Port Coquitlam at 27, or is it going to be, I'm going to move on from that? And I'm not that guy at all. And you said that at the beginning, I'm not going to let the past hold on to me. And, you know, that's a big part of recovery, is letting go. You know, that story just doesn't have power over me. I mean, it happened. I acknowledge it happened, but, you know, there's other opportunities that I'm going to take. So we talked about a little bit of challenges. So when you're, you know, what goes on at Hope for Freedom then? We'll talk about Hope for Freedom for a little bit. What's the treatment like there?
Well, you know, we start off in the morning, 8 o'clock. Well, guys are getting up at 6:30 in the morning. They're out of bed. By 8 o'clock in the morning, they're sitting around, they're reading Proverbs. They read Proverbs till 8:45. Then they got a break until 9:30. There's a group from 9:30 till 11:30. Then they got a lunch, and then there's another group at 1 o'clock till 2:30. Then they got a bit of spare time. They could do what they're doing, and then they have dinner, and then of course they go to outside meetings, either Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous or CA throughout the week, 7 days a week. So they go to church once a week. There's a Bible study once a week. We do cognitive skills therapy. We do anger management, life skills courses. You know, they have to journal. I mean, shoot, there's a big book study. Like, there's an abundance of things. We keep these guys busy. It's really cool. There's a health and wellness program. I take these guys to the gym with me every Friday morning. Yesterday we went for a 2-hour walk out in the wilderness. You know, we're just getting out, we're getting active. I think it's really important to have fun in recovery, and I think it's super important.
One of the most important things, yeah. I mean, if life's boring, why would you even try to keep doing this 100%. Recovery stuff? Family. So we heard that they left you. Is there reconnection there?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It was a long.
What happened there?
It was a long journey for me. Well, what happened was I was just, I asked my mom if I could borrow her car to go down and rent a movie, and I just took the car. You know, I never came home with the car. I mean, I was the hey mom, dad didn't pay me my allowance, and then hey dad, mom didn't pay me my allowance, and then steal their MasterCards at the same time. I was horrific. I was stealing cars. I was, you know, just I was a hardcore angry addict. My past has jails in it, institutions in it, sexual abuse as a child. So I mean, you know, some of the things that happened to me weren't by choice. Some of the things that happened to me I freely walked into. You know, I thought that life was a punishment. I hated myself. I treated the rest of the world like I felt about myself, and I wanted to die. So you can just imagine that the way I was treating people was pretty unsafe.
So you have a story. I mean, you're not just, oh, well, the reason why you're doing so well is because your life wasn't that bad. Your life was bad.
I've heard worse stories.
Yeah, okay. So now, I want to, before we have to wrap up, because we have to wrap up soon, so we're focusing so much on fentanyl, drugs, heroin, fentanyl, crack, whatever it is. But the reality is how much of the reason why you're in recovery today and you're not going to die because you're not on methadone or Suboxone has to do with the relationship with your family reconnected, connection to people, forgiveness.
Yeah, there's definitely, so I mean, and that's where Jesus for me came involved. I wasn't willing to forgive myself, and just like the NA text said, I was living a life of complete derelict. Nobody wanted to come near me. You know, I was sitting in a jail.
Yeah, not even dealers or substance users. Like you're.
No. When I used in a park and I had dope to share for free, guys were looking at me and watching the way I used, and they just said, "You know what, man? We don't want a part of this." Yeah. I was using by myself, right? I was in jail when my daughter was born. I wasn't able to be there. You know, it was tough for me. So I needed to sit down and beg for God to come in my life and show me what forgiveness felt like. I needed that. In order to feel that, it took me a long time for me to be able to forgive myself and others, right? So, I mean, like I said, I give all glory to God, but, you know, Hope for Freedom Society gave me a place. I was angry. I'm surprised they didn't kick me out, and they did a couple times. However, they kept bringing me back, you know, because I was worth it, and they saw something in me.
People say it's horrible to kick somebody out of an addiction treatment center.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. It's probably the hardest thing I've done.
But they're saying that it shouldn't happen, that you need to meet people where they're at 24 hours a day and just coddle you until you can figure recovery out. By being kicked out of rehab, did that help you or did that hurt you?
Well, I'll tell you what, at first left in my own feelings without the work that I've done on myself, yeah, it definitely hurt. Yeah. However, later on, I realized that, you know, there's a line that's crossed, that once that line's crossed, like, we can't keep you, you know, there's generally a list of guidelines that you need to follow to keep your bed. And I encourage guys, I tell them, if just doing the bare minimum and keeping your bed, if you think that that's going to keep you clean, it won't. And if you cross those boundaries, you're going to hurt my feelings, because I look forward to doing work with you in the future and in the present. And there's a life worth living for you, so I need you to stick around. So please don't cross those lines that come to the point where I need to ask you to leave. You know, there's been other times. I mean, I've got a wide variety of resources. We don't just, being Christian, I don't just want to kick people out on the street. Yeah. Sometimes I see things in them that, even though they've crossed the guidelines at our house and we have to ask them to leave, I will sit with them and call them and help them make calls to try and get them and get them into another program.
Yeah, I remember in my early days when I was in and out like a tourist in recovery, you know, I was angry too, and I remember I was going to sue Narcotics Anonymous, and I was going to sue Fraser Health, and I had everything ready to go. Like, they did, you know, they harmed me. I'm going to sue everybody, and yeah, thank God I got out of that psychosis, because it was just, you know, but at that time it was so real. Like, if the newspapers really got a hold of me, like, I had a great story, but I mean, it was all crazy and motivated by nonsense, but like, I truly felt like I had been harmed. But really, I'm the one that picked up the dope. I'm the one that did all, like,
you know, the common denominator.
Like, I was me. Like, I'm the one that did all that. You know, I made it. I had to threaten. But the surroundings around me were threatening to other people. So
the common denominator in all of my problems in the past, almost all of them, the common denominator was always me.
So, if somebody wants to help with your project, what's the project called? Is it just Hope for Freedom, or is there a project?
So we're just doing a missions. We haven't really come up with a name, to be honest with you. I need to come up with a name. You know, we're doing missions work. We have an outreach team that will be there, available for guys. You know, this is open to the public. It's open to people in need. We've got food available. We've got clothing available. We would like to buy pizza for everyone, bottled water. You know, we'd like to
get free haircuts.
I'm giving out free haircuts.
Okay, you got people doing petting.
Yeah, so we're gonna have someone there doing nails. meals.
Okay.
We're going to have people praying for people. We're going to have people handing out Bibles. You know, we're just going to be sitting there. We're going to be able to share our story.
And this is in Maple Ridge?
This is going to be in Maple Ridge.
And so if you're out there and you want to support it, you can go to hopeforfreedomsociety.com.org.
We'd love you to go to hopeforfreedom.org, and there's a donate button there. You can go on a Hope for Freedom Society Facebook page, and there's a donate button there. You can get a hold of me, Bobby Jeffers, on either IG or Facebook, and we can work out how you can be beneficial to our program. Without the help of others, we can't do it. We want to be able to raise finances to be able to reach out and expand our facilities so that we can show the people the good work we're doing and bring the kids back into fathers' lives, bring the fathers back into the kids' lives, bring the sons back, the mothers back.
Connection,
100%.
the opposite of addiction.
Yes.
Well, enjoy the good work.
Thank you so much.
And glad you made it out of Port Coquitlam.
That's an amazing story. Thanks for coming in, Bobby. I was just thinking, like, the narrative around recovery works or doesn't work, or religion works or does, like, the whole idea of, like, something not working because a sick person didn't get well, like, in an instant, is insane. And I very much dislike when people use that, that language. I say it though, like, it comes out sort of off the tongue. But if you looked rather at the community and what they're doing, like what you guys are doing for others, and not at how many sick people are getting well fast, it works. Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah, I'm prepared to get my hands dirty.
Right on, man. So keep doing what you guys are doing. Hope for Freedom Society, check it out. Right now we're going to go to our first song break, and we'll be back with Amy Story, who's in studio with us today. This is an old song by the Turtles. It Ain't Me, Babe.
Wow.
Yay! That was awesome.
Okay?
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
great.
That was really good.
That was fantastic.
Really good. So you're at the